everybody, it's Cathryn from In the Pink Designs. My project today is a little mini treat box that measures 3 by 3 by 1. And inside is a Twix bar and a Hershey bar. It will also fit something up to 1 3/4. Yeah, 1 3/4 inch high. All right. So, what I used for this project is the Easter Bunny punch, which will be back in May, but you could use another image right here if you want to. Unfortunately, this sold out pretty quickly, and I think it came back and it sold out again. But that's what I'm using, and this cutout is actually from a window box that I made a couple of videos earlier, so I figured I would for once use one of the little pieces I say. You can use this on another project. So I just cut this from Awash and BUNY DSP, and I backed it with some cardstock this time. Well, it already was, but I'm going to back it with cardstock just because these ears stick up and I want it to be nice and sturdy. All right, so I used the Easter Bunny punch, and I'm also using the Very Best Trio punch for the opening for the ribbon. Alrighty, and some Country Gingham DSP. All right, so what we need for this project is some basic white for stamping. We also need an 8.5 by 4 1/4 piece of mint macaron cardstock. So you can get at least 2 of these, I think only 2 out of each sheet of cardstock. All right, we also need a scrap to cut the back of the bunny. This bunny is from Awash and BUNY DSP. This is a polished pink sheet of that paper. From the Country Gingham DSP, we need 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 1 1/2, 2 pieces that are 3/4 by 1 1/2, and 2 pieces that are 1/2 by 2 3/4. This is my host code. If you're going to shop on my website that's linked below and spend anything under $150, please put that in. I would appreciate that. Okay, I simply scored, and we're going to start on the 8.5 inch side, and we're going to score at 1/2, 1 1/2, 4 1/2, and 5 1/2. Turn it a 1/4 turn to the 4 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 1, 2 3/4, and 3 1/2. Alright, so your skinny rectangle is over here. That top piece, I'm really not going to burnish. I'm just going to fold it up a little bit so the bumps are on the back. So I'm just going to fold it up a little bit, and then I'm just going to fold and burnish all the rest of the score lines. Okay, so now we have the skinniest rectangle on the left. There is a 3/4 inch strip at the top and a 1 inch at the bottom. And this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, so we're going to start on the left-hand side. We're going to go to the first score line, cut it to the first score line, and then wedge up into that skinny rectangle. Go to the next score line, cut it to the first score line, and wedge each side of the square. Go to the next score line, cut it to the first score line, next score line, cut it to the first score line, and wedge each side of the square. Okay, now we're going to turn it 180 to the other side. And we're going to go to the first score line, cut it to the second score line, next score line, cut it to the second score line. We're going to get rid of this rectangle on the bottom and wedge each side of the rectangle that's left. go to the next score line, cut it to the second score line, next score line, cut it to the second score line, and then wedge up a little bit into that skinny rectangle. All right, now we're going to take away that bottom rectangle and wedge each side of the square, of the rectangle this time. Okay, now that's what it should look like after you're cutting it. And then we need our very best trio punch, and we're going to use these two top rectangles. I'm going to put it in, make sure you're straight here, and just make sure that on this little pieces that stick out on the side, try to make it even how much is left of them on the cardstock, and then you kind of know you're somewhat in the middle. And then do that again. Okay. And then we want a corner rounder, and we're going to round the corners of all 4 of those edges. This is a 1/2 inch, but you can use whatever it is you like. Okay, and that's what your cardstock should look like after you're done with all that cutting. Then we're going to put some tear and tape on this little bitty piece that's left of the skinniest rectangle. And I'm going to take my take your pick tool and get the backing off. Okay, I'm going to flip the whole thing over. Now this is the inside of the box. I'm going to flip over the side with the tape and flip the other side over to meet it. Okay, so now this is the back of our box. I'm going to put the side tabs in, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on those. And I'm going to pull the back flap in and put glue on the back of the front flap. Just try to make sure that your corners stay nice and straight. Okay, and then flip it over, and you can use your finger or you take your pick tool to make sure that these inside tabs stay down. All right, now we need our DSP. And we're going to put the 2 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 1 1/2 on the main body on the front and back. The 2 pieces that are 1/2 by 2 3/4 on this top piece. And then the pieces that are 3/4 by 1 1/2 on the sides. And I'm going to use liquid glue for all of it. Okay, and we'll let that dry for a minute. Okay, so now remember I punched this out of the Awash and Beauty DSP. It's the polished pink sheet of paper. And I want to punch another one out with the Easter Bunny punch out of Mint Macaron. Now this already has balmy blue on the back because it was part of another project, but I'm going to glue this right on top because you can kind of see it a little bit, but it'll make me feel better. And if you don't have this already cut out, you needed to do it. Okay, and then I'm going to use some dimensionals. I'm probably going to use an edge, but you can use the sides or mini dimensionals to put on where the legs. You don't want to go up to the ears because the ears are not going to be touching anything. So I'm just going to put one down into this leg a little bit. And then I'll just use up the rest of my edges. All right, and then I'm just going to have it so that his feet are just above the bottom of the DSP. Okay. Then I'm going to get I have 2 Twix, but only 1 Hershey bar. So you put the Twix and the Hershey inside. And then I'm going to close it, and I'm just going to cut a little piece of glittered organdy ribbon. I'm going to put it right through from the front to the back. And I'll make it, let's see, about 5 inches total, so 2.5 on each side. And I'm just going to clip it. Okay, and then I'm going to use some of the white baker's twine. I'm just going to tie a bow right down by the edge. Okay, and then I'm just going to snip them off. Okay. And then we need, I got this bunny tail. I put a bunny tail on a prior one. I think it was a Balmy Blue box, but it was a little bit smaller than this. It doesn't have to be sparkly. I just used whatever was in my stash. And I'm going to put some right on the tail and a little bit under on the side, because I'm going to have it kind of go on the bunny, but also I want it to attach over here so that it doesn't go flying off. I want the whole thing on. I'm just going to hold it a little while. Okay, there we go. And for the final touch, I'm going to use some of the Opaque Adhesive Back Gems in the white. And I'm going to put one in the middle right underneath the opening. And then one on each side of that.
Oops, I lost that.
Okay, and that's it. If you have any questions, my email is below. The links to my blog and my shop are below. On my blog, you can find all the measurements and directions. Please subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.